Shalom. So today we'll be talking about the tree of life. So we're going to look at Genesis chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, "And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food." There's a semicolon here. It says, "The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil." So when it says out of the ground, he made the trees that he can eat from. These are talking about the literal trees. Eat the bananas, you have your coconuts, your mangoes, apples, whatever it is, right? Now the next part, it is going into something different, right? So it talks about the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now first, let us understand the physical tree before we get into symbolism or the spirituality, right? So when you plant a seed, the first thing it does before it um, germinates out of the earth, before it springs forth out of darkness, the first thing it does is extend its roots. Now the real plants, they go all the way down. The modified ones, they don't have long roots, right? Now the root that is in the center of the tree, that is what keeps it straight. But what gives it the stability really are the ones that extend outwards. These roots out here is what gives the stability. So that means when the wind comes, doesn't matter how much the tree bows, either side, north, south, east, west, whichever way the wind is coming from and going, right? The tree will stand firm all through the storm, right? Which is symbolic to us. The wind is symbolic to the wind of doctrines. So it tosses us to and fro. But when you're connected to your source, whatever your source is, if your source is the Old Testament only, once you're connected to that, you should not be moved with all the wind of doctrines. If you're connected to just the first 5 books of Moses, then it doesn't matter what doctrine come, you should be firm on what you say you believe in. If you believe in the Bible in its entirety, then it's the same, right? So these winds of doctrines also deals with desire, because one of the things that cause us to waver is desires. You might be curious to get into what those people are practicing over there, or what the customs that they're partaking in over there. Desires, right? Curiosity. And we saw that with Solomon. He saw these women doing all of these things. He was curious. He starts to forget his roots. That's what desire does. You forget what you're connected to. Now you go dabbling into all this stuff. Why do you think they put all these free videos out there for you to watch? All these websites accessible to everyone. It's the same thing. They're just doing it virtually now. But then everything was more physical, but you don't have to go to a place to do it now. You can stay right there in your house on your computer and you get all the information until you mess up, right? So now we understand the roots, right? Now let us go to the branches. The branches, what they actually do is they're the transporter basically. So they transport all the nutrients to the leaves. The leaves grow on the branches, right? So what the leaves do is they suck the carbon dioxide and the water. They take the water from its roots. That water, that living water, they take that water from the root. They take the carbon dioxide from the air. And they break it down They take the water from the roots, they take the carbon dioxide also, and they break them down. And this is where they get all their energy from, the sugar, the glucose, right? And this is how the fruits will grow, well nutritioned, right? This is why it says a tree planted by the river is firm, right? Because what? You're constantly being fed water. So when you're planted in whatever doctrine you believe in, you're constantly being fed. Your spirit is being fed. It stays connected to its source, the living waters, right? So that means the trunk of the tree would be a representation of what? It would represent the self or the soul, right? Not the body. It's not that physical part that you're really seeing, you're equating it to, but there's something that gives the life to it. There's something that meets the tree that keeps it alive. There is something that meets this shell, this body, that keeps it alive. It is like where the river meets the sea. You call it a bar, a bridge. It's hard to discern where the fresh water stops or the salt water starts. Right in that midst there. That is where the spirit meets the body. And it is called the soul. Right? So now that we understand the carnal, the physical tree, let us go deeper. What if down was up and up was down? What if above was below and below was above? Now let us look at this tree. So here we have the sun. Here we have the moon. So here we have the sun, the moon, and the constellations, right? Now, what would be the source? What would be their source? Just as the source of the tree is the earth, the source of the fish is the water. Now, the source of these would be what? Let us go to the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 17. It says, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. So the source for these would be the Father of lights, right? These we can see. What is beyond, we cannot see. It's just like we can see this body, but that which is beyond, that which pervades the body, we cannot see. It's the same thing with the tree. This is why it's not always good to trust in appearances, because things aren't always the way they appear to be. You know, like driving and seeing some water in the road, but when you get there, the water is gone, the water was never there, right? So it's not always good to trust in appearances. This is why discernment is necessary. Not important, but necessary, right? Has to be done. So, how is this synonymous with this? Let's explore. So, the constellations, right? This would represent knowledge. Knowledge. Let us turn to the book of Revelations, chapter 22 and verse 1. Let's start at verse 1. It says, "And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb." Where is the throne? Where do you look to see the throne of the Most High? It's in the heavens, right? It's in the heavens. But when you actually look in the heavens, what do you see? You don't see the Most High's tool. You don't see his foot. You don't see anything like that. What you actually see is the sun, the moon, the constellations. And if you have other technologies, you can see other objects, other elements up there. So it says, in the midst of the street, of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits. The tree of life, which bear 12 manner of fruits. Because what? How many moons or how many months you have in a year? 12. But not only that, what happens every new moon? The constellations change. So knowledge is always going forth. Right? It says, and yielded her fruit every month. Is there a physical tree on earth you know that brings forth fruit every month? Every month? None. So they always associate this scripture to a particular plant, but does that plant bring forth its fruit every month? Does it heal the nation? When you have your anxiety, can you use that plant and heal your anxiety? When you have your headache, can you use that plant and heal your headache? When you have whatever sickness and disease, can you use that plant and heal them? Can you do it every month? No, you can't. Right? So it says, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So we were supposed to use this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that descend from the heavens to heal. For example, let us go to the book of Acts chapter 14. And we're going to start reading at verse 8. It says, and there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, stand upright on thy feet. And he leaped and walked. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Lycaonia, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. And they called Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker. So we were supposed to use this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to heal the people, right? And why did they refer to them as Jupiter and Mercury? Because prior to the Roman invasion of Jerusalem, that was what they called on. They believed in Jupiter. Jupiter was the god of the Romans. Until they took our scroll. They started to incorporate it. What was the Roman culture before? Before they create this Christian God? What God were they calling on? So the same tree of life is the same tree of knowledge, good and evil, because you can use it to do good as well as you can use it to do bad. For example, the same moon you use to keep the Sabbath, is that a good or bad thing? That's a good thing, right? But then you can use the same moon and charge spells and cast them on people. It doesn't make the moon wicked, it makes you wicked. So the more carbon dioxide and water the tree gets, is the more it fattens, makes it fruitful. So it's the same with us. The more knowledge we get, the more we get from the tree of life, the more we pull into our consciousness the knowledge that descends from the Father of lights, is the more it fattens us. We produce more. So the more you study the scriptures, is the stronger you get. In other areas you might be weak, but whatever you are drawn to, whatever you're feeding from, is what will fatten you. For example, if you're studying accounts, guess what? You will be stronger in the knowledge of accounting. If you're studying mechanics, you'll be stronger in the knowledge of mechanics. Whatever it is that we take from this is what will fatten, and this is where our fruits will be produced. Because once you convert this knowledge into action, it becomes what? Wisdom. So the action is the knowledge, and the knowledge is the action. You cannot separate them. For example, when you see the sun goes beyond the horizon, you know that, okay, the day is coming to an end and the night is coming in. That is the action. But what do you know from that action? Day and night. So wisdom is the manifestation of the knowledge. So if you have the theoretical aspect, but you cannot manifest the action, you cannot manifest the wisdom, then you are not producing any fruits. You are like a tree without leaves. Matthew chapter 7, verse 16, it says, "Ye shall know them by their fruits." Ye shall know them by their fruits. So guess what? What if I talk every day about, oh, they're doing this, they're modifying plants, they're doing all of these things, injecting the fruits and so forth, but yet I am buying those things. I am not trying to plant my own food to get away from this. Does it make me any different? No, because you still don't see the wisdom in me. If I can speak against this and I'm doing something for a change, then by that doing, by that action, you know what tree I am. Because you see the fruits that I'm producing. Some people think that the words that are coming out of their mouths is the actual fruit. It is the action, not what you have inside here. So you can study this every day of your life. This is a spiritual book of manifestation. If this is not manifesting in your life, you are not of this tree. The fruit is the outcome of your action. A fruit is that which is produced. What are you producing? We want to go by titles. Oh, I'm an Hebrew. I'm an Israelite. I'm a child of the Most High. Okay, what fruits are you producing? Are you exercising compassion? Are you exercising peace? Are you exercising humility? Are you exercising all these attributes of the Spirit? So the breath of life is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Most High. And the more we know is the more we apply. And the more we apply is the better we discern. So your action strengthens your ability to discern. Your action is what confirms the choices you make, confirms what you believe in. So you might be talking all this game over here, but this is what you're doing over here. There's a lack of integrity. Shalom.